Israel seek and stigma on the news this afternoon. Environmental MNA demands solution to regular oil spill in Rivers community. Peace meetings between Rivers State Governor and FCT Minister continue to stir reactions. NAFDAC raids fake missionary clinic in Port Harcourt. Senior lawyer kicks against proposed compulsory voting bill. On the foreign scene, UN warns of baby deaths in Gaza as Western nations demand end to Israeli offensive. I'm Ifetuku Moyale with the news. Now, an environmentalist, Dr. Faife Dumnamene, is calling on the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSTRA, to carry out a thorough, comprehensive joint investigation team's visit to determine the cause of the spill in Oshika, Ahoda West local government area of Rivers State. Dumnamene call comes after another oil spill was reported in the Oshika community. He spoke with correspondent Suebi Uruware.
So we call on the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency to carry out a joint investigation visit to the sites with a view of determining the cause of the oil spill and then invoke relevant sections of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 to hold whoever is responsible to account. The stakeholders are wondering, a lot of them are also surprised that this could happen. The joint investigation visit is carried out and they are able to really confirm if it is actually third-party interference or equipment failure. Then they should be able to hold whoever is responsible to account, and the community people will have that sense of justice having been served.
Dumnamene, who is also the Executive Director, Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, advised security agencies to adopt what he called the stick and carrot approach to address the rising cases of illegal oil refinery activities in the Niger Delta region.
It is a clear message to the federal government of Nigeria that war cannot stop the acts of pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft and artisanal refineries going on in the Niger Delta. So what do we do in order to give the people landing and soft landing? Is for government to listen to advice on what to do to be able to fight this. That is to say, why the military approach has not given us what we needed so far for Nigeria to even produce above 2 million liters barrels of oil per day. I think we need to look at what these boys can do to give them alternative livelihood opportunities. The federal government should also make available and possible licenses for smuggling refineries in the Niger Delta, as promised by the Buhari administration in February 2017.
The environmental rights activists allege that illegal oil activities are still going on because of the involvement of the military and oil pipeline surveillance contractors.
There is likely incident of connivance between security operatives and even some of those involved in pipeline, surveillance contracts with those who are vandalizing the pipeline, stealing crude oil and refining. And we have also gotten evidences of security involvement. Them to keep moving and taking this product from point A to point B. It means that security operatives are allegedly involved in the process. So the connivance of security operatives are involved, are part of why we still have this persisting. So we must do everything we can to reduce the resources we push into the security operative and put some into providing alternative livelihood opportunities for the youth who are involved in this.
Also, the president of Kaniswomo Ijo Foundation, Adaye West, advises that oil pipeline surveillance contractors should be profiled before they are engaged.
So my advice to the government is to ensure that the kind of people they are sending to guide the pipelines pass through serious orientation. They should try to filter to know who and who they are sending there to guide the pipelines, and also the contractors, to ensure that the contractors are held responsible. If you threaten, if you tell them, look, this is your area of coverage, if anything happens here, you'll be held responsible. You see them wake up to their responsibility. No one, it's not just giving a contract to somebody that maybe is your brother, giving it to a competent contractor.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Navy is set to commission 3 new warships and 3 Agusta helicopters to boost maritime security. The Chief of Policy and Plans at the Naval Headquarters, Rear Admiral Ibrahim Dewu, announced this yesterday. He said the new vessels NNS Shere, Faro, and Ikogosi will patrol littoral waters while the helicopters enhance surveillance.
These vessels will serve as seaward defense boats within Nigeria's littorals up to the 24 nautical miles contiguous zone. Nigeria maintained its zero piracy status in the International Maritime Bureau piracy rating. In furtherance to this, the Nigerian Navy has taken the initiative to ensure that the entire Gulf of Guinea is free of piracy and other maritime crimes.
Now, still on security, the commander of the Jubu Vigilante Security Service, Mr. Amatari Bipelede, says the approval for the setting up of local security network will help complement the police in addressing insecurity in Rivers State. Bipelede said this while reacting to the approval of the local security network by the Commissioner of Police during a stakeholders meeting in Kanalagu government area. Speaking on Nigerian FM's Morning Crossfire, Bipelede says the level of insecurity in the state is overwhelming for the police alone to handle.
It is only senior police officers that are ready to fight crime can come with such statements. So his statement is in the right direction, and that should tell you his level of activeness, competence, professionalism in discharge of his duty. For police to reduce distress call on them, the complementary roles of the vigilantes are very, very important. Most times distress calls that ought to come to the police come to the vigilante, and vigilante complement before the arrival of the police, or vigilante complement, or vigilante act and hand over to the police. So it reduces the pressure on the police.
Speaking on the prevalent issue of human rights abuse by some vigilante personnel, Amatari says that abuse is inevitable where there is little or no funding and monitoring.
It is a known fact that Rivers State government at all levels, when I talk about government at all levels, I'm talking about both the states and the local government, it is a known fact that they have never encouraged the services vigilante. How much is the salary of a local security man? Yes, it is a voluntary thing, but even in the voluntary services, you used materials for short services. So how do they get funds to equip themselves in their service delivery? When you fund a security outfit very well, and when that security outfit knows that it's being funded, rules and regulations will be given to them.
In the meantime, a professor of strategy and development, Professor Anthony Kila, says the recent rise in terrorist attacks is as a result of the government not taking earlier warnings seriously. Kila said this on Channels Television. He said nothing was really done after past incidents and no strong policies or long-term plans were put in place. He believes this lack of action has made it easy for terrorists to regroup and cause more trouble.
In life, if we don't do anything, if we don't do enough, bad things prevail. What has happened is that there is a war going on between anti-state and the state has not upped its game, and the anti-state continues to move on. After the first attacks in Nigeria, we've not seen policies of deployment plans that shows that something new has happened to us. Let us change our way. Drones were introduced 25 years ago. We have not seen in our intelligence service, we have not seen a surge in CCTV, and it tells you that we do not have that strategic view. Maybe we have it inside us. Maybe some experts have it, but they're not being implemented.
Also speaking on the show, security consultant Onyekachi Adekoya said that one major gap in Nigeria's fight against insecurity is the lack of action from state governors. He criticized state leaders for not handling security issues with enough urgency or seriousness.
I always make the point that the missing piece in national security support are the governors. Matters first of internal security should not be the business of the president. There is CSO, CEO in the state where the governor has sufficient interest and political will. He can deal with the issues. We don't pay enough attention to security. That's the point I want to make. It will interest Nigerians to know that some of the state commands don't get more than 100,000 a month to operate a statewide command to protect you and I. When you have people who are responsible, when you ill-equip them, they won't use their teeth to protect you.
Away from that, the trial of 12 suspects accused of murdering late Inspector Christiana Erekere resumed yesterday at the Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt. The first defendant, Ms. Joy Uweraka, took the stand to open her defense. Uweraka told the court she had gone to the Taba police station to retrieve a driver's license seized during a stop-and-search operation. She said she met late Inspector Christiana Erekere at the station, who was recording the incident on her phone. Uweraka claimed the officer struck her with the phone when she confronted her about the recording. She also told the court that she was arrested a week later while working in a church in Delta State. The defendant further alleged that some of the statements she made during the investigations were given under duress. However, this claim was opposed by the prosecution led by Celestine Dixon of the Nigeria Police. The trial judge, Justice Augusta Chukwu, adjourned the case to June 3, 2025 for further defense by witness 1 and 2. As you may know, Inspector Christiana Erekere was allegedly killed on April 25, 2023 during a stop-and-search operation at the Taba Police Division in Kana local government area. In other news, the chairman of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, in Rivers State, Mr. Christian Kendrick, says the political rift between the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Siminalayi Fubara appears to have been resolved following recent remarks credited to the minister in which he referred to Governor Fubara as his boy and son. In an interview with correspondent Yobi Oruwari, Kendrick described the perceived political reconciliation between the two key figures as one that comes with a cost Rivers people must be prepared to bear.
Yeah, that comment can be likened to the comment of the father of the prodigal son. When you have forgiven, when you have made peace. From every indication, Wike and Fubara have made peace. Rivers people should know that this peace must have come with agreement that may not favor us. They have shared what they think they can share for the state, and it's a pity that those who are being sacrificed, those who have stood for Fubara, they are being sacrificed. The elders, the young crop of political leaders who came up out of this dispensation, and they are being sacrificed. And I have always said they will not find themselves to power again.
However, the ADP chairman expressed concern that many of the emerging political leaders aligned with Governor Fubara may end up as the sacrificial lamb in the process of this political settlement.
Prophesying politically, I'm saying that 90% of these local government chairmen who led during Fubara's administration will not find themselves to power again because they are not directly the product of Nyesom Wike. And Nyesom Wike has a very large family. Remember that because of this political impasse, his family became larger than it was. He's going to use the opportunity to settle them. Most of them are unsettled. He's going to use this time now to settle them, and this crop of politicians are not part of it, unfortunately. So that is why we were crying for Fubara to come, not to fall for Nyesom Wike. Maybe if he falls for Nyesom Wike, he'll be the only one standing. Nobody will stand with him.
Away from that, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says its officials have smashed a syndicate posing as missionaries and healthcare providers to distribute unregistered drugs in the Aboloma axis of Port Harcourt. The Director South Zone of NAFDAC, Chukwuma Olibu, said this while briefing newsmen in Port Harcourt yesterday. Olibu said the discovery followed a tip-off from a concerned resident that led NAFDAC officials to the location where fake eye drops, cleansers, bottled water, and tablets were being given to unsuspecting members of the public under the guise of evangelism. He said a woman, Mrs. Gladys Theophilus, who seemed to be administering the product, was arrested. Olibu said the arrest followed a tip-off NAFDAC received from some concerned citizens on their activities at a town hall in the area, leading to a raid last Friday.
It was gathered that some person that used this eye drop got their eyes swollen, while the fake doctor that is on the run assured them that the swollen eye is a sign that the drug is working, while assuring that the impurities in their eyes will be washed out as mucus and liquid comes out of their eyes. When the NAFDAC team stormed the town hall, they met a woman administering the fake drug to some persons waiting in turns. The middle-aged woman who was attending to the suspecting victims was arrested, while the fake doctor claimed to be outside the state when he was contacted on phone.
The NAFDAC director Olibu warned the public to discard items from the group as their products are not registered by any authority. He also urged residents to report suspicious drug activities, assuring them of their safety after reporting.
I hereby warn the general public to be aware of these unscrupulous elements claiming to be evangelists or missionaries and selling concoctions, poisons in the name of medicine to unsuspecting members of the public. These products are not registered, their claims are not verified by any government body. Anybody patronizing them is doing this at his own peril. The general public are advised to immediately report to NAFDAC wherever activities of these fake drugs, fake healthcare providers are on.
Our correspondent reports that the seized product had been moved to the NAFDAC's zonal office in Woji while investigations continue with the arrested suspect charged to court. Still to come, senior lawyers Agbakoba Falana kick against proposed compulsory voting bill. Stay with us. Olisa Agbakoba says he would rather be jailed than comply with any law that makes it compulsory for eligible Nigerians to vote. Mr. Agbakoba said this on Channel's television program. Agbakoba condemned the National Assembly's attempt to enforce compulsory voting without first addressing the root causes of voter apathy in the country. Also, another senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, says it is unconstitutional and impractical for such law to work under the current legal framework. He said the bill is inconsistent with several provisions of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantee citizens' rights to privacy, freedom of thought, and freedom of conscience. As you may know, the bill, which passed second reading in the House of Representatives, co-sponsored by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and Daniel Ago, seeks to amend the Electoral Act to make voting mandatory for all Nigerians of voting age in national and state elections. It also proposed a 6-month jail term or a fine of 100,000 naira for eligible citizens who fail to vote. A joint action committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Allied Institutions, NASU, has rejected the recent distribution formula adopted for the disbursement of the 50 billion naira approved by the federal government for university-based unions. In a statement, the non-academic unions expressed disappointment that 80% of the allocation was given solely to the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, leaving only 20% to be shared among SANU, NASU, and NAT. The unions urged the federal government to immediately review and reverse the recommended allocation formula, warning that going ahead with the distribution will result to industrial disharmony. In business, Transparency International Nigeria has blamed President Bola Tinubu and his predecessors Muhammadu Buhari and Olusegun Obasanjo for the years of unaccounted remittances and fraud in the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. TI Nigeria Country Director Awal Rafsanjani said this during an interview with journalists. Recall that the World Bank Nigeria Development Update report released last week indicted the NNPCL over failure to remit crude revenue amounting to 500 billion naira to the Federation account for October 2024 and December 2024. In entertainment, Ryan Coogler's latest cinematic offering, Sinners, has officially crossed the 600 million naira mark at the Nigerian box office, raking in over 600.7 million naira and drawing more than 100,000 moviegoers nationwide. In sports, 3 new criteria have been unveiled for the Ballon d'Or. The criteria will focus on 3 pillars: individual performances, the brilliance, decisiveness, and influence of players on the pitch, collective success, titles and trophies achieved with clubs and national teams.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
The UN's humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher says 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours if more aid doesn't reach them. Fletcher told the BBC that he wants to save as many of these 14,000 babies in the next 48 hours. Israel ended an 11-week blockade on aid entering Gaza on Monday, but Fletcher says only 5 lorries got in and aid hasn't reached anyone yet. This comes as the UK, France and Canada warn Israel to stop its renewed military offensive in Gaza and increase the flow of aid. As a news update is out, to reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. On the news this afternoon, you heard environmentalist Fanface Dumnamene has demanded solutions to regular oil spill in Rivers community. The peace meeting between Rivers State Governor and FCT Minister have continued to stir reactions. NAFDAC has raided a fake missionary clinic in Port Harcourt. On the foreign scene, UN has warned of baby deaths in Gaza as Western nations demand an end to Israeli offensive. The news was edited by Onyeka Chimusu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Mwanyeli. Many thanks for listening.